is Bold TV.
Good morning, beautiful people out there. Welcome to another episode of Bold TV. And we, the beautiful, outstanding ladies with disabilities, are here once again to bring to you another interesting, empowering, and enlightening session of discussions. We are here to talk about another topic that I believe is very important and relevant, especially for women with disabilities. Bold TV is powered by Bold Hearts Initiative, and we are a network of women with disabilities who are doing amazing things in different fields of endeavor. We come your way every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. And today, as other times, we are here to bring to you what we believe is very important that every woman with disability needs to know, and those who are connected to them. So today we'll be talking about overcoming the victim mentality. Anybody who has walked the path of disability, who has gone on this journey, knows that at some point, one point or the other, we have all felt that sense of helplessness, that sense of, not knowing what to do, that sense of, just not knowing where to go from, that point. When disability comes, whether you're born with it or, you encounter it on life's journey, there are times you come to a certain point where you feel like all the odds are against you. And it's so easy to see yourself as the victim, as the one, that everything is stacked against you. So today we are going to, unbundle that myth and then see how we can help those who are stuck in that state to move forward. So with me, as usual, I have amazing ladies who will be joining me to do justice to this topic. And they will be introducing ourselves a little later. But before we go on, I just want to, acknowledge our online audience. Thank you so much for your support over the years, for always tuning in, for always watching our videos. And for those who go ahead to share, like, and comment, you are the real MVPs. You are most valuable players, and we could not have come this far without you. Thank you so much. So those who sponsor us, thank you. And we also ask that if you want to be a part of what we are doing, we are looking for partnership and collaboration. Please reach out to any of the co-hosts, myself, Tomisin, Freki, Grace, or Osaki, and we will definitely get back to you on how you can be a part of this. So, back to our topic for today. In this town hall meeting, we are here to talk about becoming a victor, becoming empowered instead of being a victim. But before we start, as our tradition is, I'm going to allow these amazing ladies to introduce themselves. So, Tomisin, I'll start with you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Afyong. So, as follow us. Thank you once again for joining us this beautiful Saturday morning. My name is Oluwatomisin Adeyefa. I'm based in Abeokuta, Ogun State. I'm a visually impaired person, a journalist, a disability and gender rights advocate, the executive director of Popular Abilities Initiative, and a disability inclusion facilitator. Feels really, really awesome to be here talking about victory and victor. Thank you very much, Afio.
All right, thank you for joining us, Tomisin. All right, Freki, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. A beautiful morning to you. Please gaze upon my ceiling. I shall be with you in camera soon. My name is Freki Andrew Essian. I'm based in Port Harcourt in Rivers State. I'm the executive director of Faker Foundation, a non-profit organization that provides step-up support services to vulnerable individuals, including persons with disabilities. I identify as a woman with disability because I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. I do other things, but this will do for now. Welcome to Bold TV. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today. And to my guest, she's been here before, and it's good to have her back. Sharon, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, good morning, Afyong. Thank you for having me back. My name is Ejiro Koti. I like to go by Ejiro. Sharon is my Oyibo name, English name, but I'm proudly African, and I like to go by Ejiro because Ejiro simply means praise in my language, which is Urobo. And I'm the executive director of the Hope Inspired Foundation for Women and Youth with Disabilities. A freelance consultant as well, working in disability and gender. And I also work as a marriage, family life, and sex therapist. And I am based in Abuja. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ejiro. I'm also proudly African. But you know that here we have everybody likes their English very well. All right. It's good to have you. Ejiro is also visually impaired.
Yeah.
So she's doing amazing things in her sphere. All right. So welcome. So finally, I am your host, Afiom Etum, and I am a medical lab scientist by day. And I'm also a member of Bold Hearts Initiative. I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury, and I'm based in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. It is amazing to be here once again. So, ladies, let's do a deep dive. What is victim mentality? What is victim? We can all agree that this is something that is sadly very common among persons with disabilities. So, I want to know, what is victim mentality? Freki, you go first.
All right, thank you very much. So the victim mentality is a mindset that is defeated. It is a mindset that has given up. It is a mindset that has thrown in the towel. It is a mindset that has said, I guess this is over. Victim mentality is the one that puts a person down, out of their story, out of the game of life, to just be an observer. Finally, a victim mentality is one that we must fight to overcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So a victim mentality basically is about, not taking personal responsibility. You're just there, things happen to you and you're not responsible for anything that happens. Tomisi, do you want to add to that?
Okay, I think Freki had, done very good justice to what a victim mentality is. It's okay if you're the receiving end of any situation. It's okay if you find yourself in a quagmire, so to speak. It's okay when sometimes you feel lost, or you feel down, or you feel negative. But when you stay in that circle, when you stay in that corner of, self-pity, self-doubt, and then everything that happens to you afterwards, you just wrap it around the fact that, oh, I am a victim. That is when it becomes a victim mentality. And like Freki has said, it's something that we should always strive and fight to overcome.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'd just like to add that when it comes to a victim mentality, you more often than not, it's a lack of personal responsibility. You know that saying, when we were in school, I remember very well, I think it was at university, they used to say, that it's possible to go through school and not let school go through you. Some people just go through life, but they don't really experience life. They don't, they are not proactive when it comes to life. Things happen to them. Oh, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And then you don't really say, oh, I expected this. This is what I'm looking forward to. So you're not proactive. You just wait for things to happen and then you play the victim. So Sharon, I'm going to come to you. What are some signs of someone who has a victim mentality, especially when it relates to women with disabilities? What are some signs? How can one recognize the signs?
Okay, so I think first, if you don't mind, I want to respond to your statement, right, about a victim mentality being a lack of self-responsibility. That may be true in some way, but that may not also be true in another way. So I think about this from a psychology standpoint. There's what is called learned helplessness. So not necessarily that somebody chooses to or will decide to be helpless. It's something that has been learned over time. I don't know if you've heard of the example of a dog that was tied, and then when they ring a bell, then they put the food and then he eats it. And on the day that they removed the rope from his legs, even though he was no longer tied, what was holding him back was no longer there. He couldn't do that stuff that he would ordinarily do when he was tied. So that's to tell you that dog may not necessarily have chosen to be like that. Over time, the dog associated a particular action with a particular posture. That's learned helplessness. And for some people, necessarily, things may not even necessarily happen to them. Over time, they just believe that this is how life is and that is it. So you on the other end, you may be quick to judge them, to say, oh, this person is just playing the victim card. They don't want to move. But what if that is what they know? That is the life that they know. That is how they see life. That's how they see things. And you just need to begin to enlighten, educate them to be able to see things differently. So I think that sometimes we also need to put that balance as well, so that people don't feel like they are being judged, or the world is being harsh to them. So and I like the statement that Freki made at the beginning, because it's all in your mind. It's about how you see and how you think about life. But again, in seeing life is from which lens are you seeing life, and which position, where are you standing? From what point are you seeing life? Yeah. So that's what shapes your mind. That's what shapes how you think and how you begin to form that mindset that now becomes a whole that will say, oh, this person has a victim mentality. So in terms of signs, there's so many of them, sometimes from what people say, sometimes from people's reaction to things. So if we're to relate it to disability, to women with disabilities, life has already, or circumstances of life has already given you an excuse, something in hand to say you are a victim already. Because of your disability, things happen. You say, oh, if not for this disability, there's always something to attribute it to. And as you were talking, I was smiling because I remember in 2012, I met a woman with disability, a blind woman, and I didn't even know she was blind initially, but I eventually found out she was blind. And I think I was just really coming out of my shell, as a blind person at the time, really thinking about how do I go into the world of work. My twin sister had finished youth service 8 months, she didn't get a job, and I'm like, if somebody I cited that doesn't have a disability, is struggling with work, then what happens to me? And that was the burden I was carrying in my heart that season. I was doing my youth service when I met her. And she told me something. She said, it's easy for you to quickly pin everything that happens to you to your disability. She gave me an example. She said she is a mother and she has 3 kids. And if she brings in a domestic staff to support her, people will say it's because she's blind. That's why she cannot take care of her family. She said, but do I know that there are women without disabilities that also have nannies? What is that woman's excuse for having a nanny? So she said, you must walk yourself out of that place where anything that happens to you, you attribute it to your disability. Yeah, so that was one key lesson that I got early in life. And whatever happens to me, I just take it that this is part of life. This is something that may have happened, but I refuse to attribute it to my disability. Yeah, so I think that some of the signs is you find people talking down on themselves. You find people always attributing whatever happens to them. Yes, some of them may be based on your disability. That we do not exclude that fact. That there are some certain things that happen that may not necessarily happen to the other person, but simply because you have a disability, it happens to you. That is there, but you can choose to rise above it. Yeah, the response to how that thing happens determines whether you are walking about with a victim mentality or you are choosing to be a victor and use that as a story. And I think Osaki, one of your hosts, so everyone was telling me about the video she posted online about how to get into she was trying to get into catch a flight and the challenges and all that. And different people had different opinions. For her, she could have said, oh God, it's so terrible, it's so hard, but she used it as a tool for advocacy, to educate people, to make people see, the difficulties that women, wheelchair users have to go through in boarding flights and all of that, and how that can change. So that is, the two sides of the coin. So thank you. I think I'll just stop there.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for, bringing that, different perspective that has created the balance.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, we are not here to judge anyone. We're just stating facts and pointing out what is already there. And then we'll go on to talk about how to help people, move on from there. Because why we need to, go into details about why this exists is because many people are unaware. There are many people who they are not aware they have a victim mentality. Yeah. They just feel, for them, like you said, it's normal. Life has happened and anybody would feel helpless and, feel like, oh, life is against me in that situation. So, but we are here to help them see so that they are able to see how it's like a mind renewal so that they are able to move on from where they are, because there's so much more than just, what is in front of you if you're willing to take the next step. So thank you so much for bringing that. And I'll just like to reiterate that let's all keep our answers brief so that we'll be able to keep within the time frame we have and everybody can contribute in a robust way. So, Freki, let's hear 1 or 2 signs of victim mentality.
Thank you very much. Still gazing up on my ceiling. We're good. All right. So, one major sign I would say is the unwillingness to participate. The unwillingness to participate, whatever the reason may be. Or there's this general leg dragging or feet dragging when it comes to participating in things. That is one sign of someone who has probably given up. And again, I say irrespective of what the reason may be behind it, whether it is learned, whether it's unlearned, but that general reluctance to want to participate and excluding oneself intentionally, even when that leaf or that rope or that bridge is built, there's still that reluctance to participate and be involved. The other sign of a victim mentality is one who talks down on themselves. So the person is generally very negative in their perception. If you want to know somebody who has a victim mentality, just have a conversation with that person. That person's perspective is always somehow, person will bring out the negative side or the downside or the other side, even when he's not there of a situation. So I feel that those are cardinal signs of a victim mentality. Just to reiterate, one who excludes themselves, even when all the avenues are provided for the person to maybe participate or be included, there's always an excuse or a reason not to. And the second one is always somehow finding the negative in any matter or in any case and all of that. So I'll just stop there so that others can contribute. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So generally, a negative attitude and self being derogatory towards yourself, seeing, always putting yourself down. All right, Tommy Singh, let's hear one or two.
Okay, so the kind of company you keep also has an influence in making you a victim or staying back in that victim hole, whereby the people around you are people who just want to do everything for you, and then you thinking that, oh, I am enjoying this luxury, this care, this attention, and then you just stay back in that hole is also another sign. When it looks like a friend of mine says that if you wake up every day and everything is rosy, there's no dark cloud anywhere, there's no silver lining somewhere, then you need to worry, because when eventually you're faced with the challenges, it's new. It's something that you're not used to, and then you begin to fumble, or you begin to fear, or you begin to show signs of apprehension. Another sign of victim mentality for me is somebody who, always finds reasons not to. That's the mantra. Like, you say, how are you today? Oh, I don't even know if I am fine. There's always that not mantra on their lips. Oh, okay. It's just as if you're asking them what's their name, and then they're like, oh, maybe my name is not my name. They just have reasons not to, want to leave their comfort zone. And I think that aligns with what Frecky has said, that reluctance to want to do things, even when there is a platform, even when there is an opportunity, even when you see that, okay, it is right there, it's something you can grab. And then people will blame other people. It's a sign as well of victim mentality. You don't take responsibility for whatever it is that has happened to you or that is happening to you. You want to blame it or pitch it on somebody. People who do that. Oh, it is because of Affiong. That is why I cannot participate in Bold TV. Oh, it is because of Tommy Singh. That is why my advocacy did not, people who just don't want to accept responsibility, whether it is direct or indirectly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So back to personal responsibility. Unwillingness to accept responsibility, negative attitude, and then just not willing to be participate or take part in anything, just excluding yourself. And I'll just add two more, which is one of it is feelings of anger and resentment. If you're a person with disability, it's easy to relate, especially I would say for me in the early days of disability, it was so easy. Everything was annoying. Even when someone was helping me, I would always be like, it's as if, you're always angry, everything, you feel resentful. And then, another thing is that you begin to, you take things personal. Even when that is not the case, instead of stopping to think, why is this thing like this? Or why did that person make that statement? Someone says something and, it doesn't sit right with you, and automatically you assume that they are after you. You take things personal. You get upset. And then you always, let me say it in, our local everyday language, you're always beefing somebody. You beef other people. if I had rich parents like her, maybe I would have done well too. I won't be where I am. If somebody had given me money too, if they had helped me, maybe I won't be here. Everything, like Tomisin said, is other people's fault. You are resentful of those who seem to be better, because you seem to think that, oh, they have gotten there because of some, partiality somewhere. So the world hates you and likes them. If you think that way, then there's a high possibility you have a victim mentality. And now we are going to move on to how you can move on from that, how you can overcome that mentality and begin to think differently, because there's so much more that you can do. So now I'm going to ask, how does the victim mentality impact, women with disabilities, especially when it comes to growth and capacity? We've talked about the signs, we've talked about what it is. How does it now, what impact does it have? How does it affect a woman with disability with regards to personal development, capacity building, and all of that? So, Ejiro, you go.
In terms of how, of course, one is it prevents you from, or prevents the individual from seizing opportunities. You're not able to take opportunities and maximize them. It prevents such individuals from also harnessing the potentials that they have. Because just like Tommy said, there's always a reason why you cannot do what you need to do. There's so much that you may have to give to the world that the world doesn't get to enjoy, because, you just think that you're just there. The other way that it impacts on you is it also, makes people avoid you. So in the sense that also prevents people from being able to offer you the help that you need. Because like you said, if people consider you to always be angry, to always be resentful, sometimes people want to avoid you. So healthy relationships that you may have been privileged to build or nurture, you will not be able to have those, because people are trying to walk around eggshells on you. People are trying to keep to themselves. People are trying not to offend you and all that. So one is, you do not get to seize opportunities. You do not get to give the world your best, harness your potentials, and also you deprive yourself of healthy and productive relationships and networks that you may have built if you were more open to life, more receptive to change, to people, and to opportunities. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You made some key points. You can't find, you will not see what you're not looking for. I'll say that again. You won't see what you're not looking for. So if you're always, always have a negative attitude, negative mindset, and all you think about is how everything that is going wrong, even if good things happen, it will be hard. You will always look for the fault. You look for the bad side. And that blinds you. The victim mentality blinds you to even your own potential. You can't see the good in you because you can't see the good in anything else. So no matter how talented you are, you won't see it because you will always see yourself as someone who is incapable of achieving anything. And then that relationship aspect, nobody wants to be around an angry person. It's very uncomfortable because you're like a cactus. If you know that plant that has lots of thorns around it, needles, everybody that comes near you is afraid of being pricked. Because once they will say something, even if they didn't have any bad intentions, you just jump and you shout. Nobody wants to be around that kind of person. Freki, please share with us one impact it has on women with disabilities. How does it hinder them?
Oh, the victim mentality is such a sad thing because all of a sudden, everybody will just be advancing. Everybody will just be moving, and then you will be stuck. It can lead to mental health issues. Mental health issues. All of a sudden, depression sets in. Why? Because things are happening around you. They are not happening for you. So mental health is affected. Victim mentality may even be a mental health issue, but the impact is even more. Depression, suicidal tendencies, mood disorders, the whole spectrum. And that's what I'll add to this conversation. Mental wellness is very important for women with disabilities because whether we like it or not, disability predisposes us to mental health issues. So when you now have the victim mentality, you are a candidate ripe for mental health concerns. So that is the impact. Thank you.
That's true. Mental health, your mind will always have, overarching influence over everything else that happens around you. Because what you conceive more often than not is what you will see. So if all you see is negative, how do you expect? Because you're creating with your mind first before you create, physically. So if all you see is negative, you can't expect that the laws of the universe ideally will always stand. You sow negative thoughts, negative perspectives, negative perceptions, you will only reap the negative.
Okay, so another thing I would say that victim mentality will do for you is it's deep down you are not fulfilled, because trust me, people who have this mentality, they also want to be better. Sometimes they just don't know how to, or the society does not afford them that luxury to be able to. And so it saddens you, and then it begins to lead to other mental health challenges, like Frecky has said. And before you know it, you pass it on. And that's where it becomes more dangerous. If you have offspring, if you have people who probably listen to you, who see you as somebody they could listen to, then you pass it on, and then they also carry on the mentality unknowingly, because they have you in their cycle.
Wow, I like that point you brought up about passing on. Victim mentality is a dysfunction of the mind, and it's in the society we live in, we see a lot of people who are products of their background, their environment. So it's that, like you said, it's very dangerous, especially when you have people who look up to you. So when you say things, people take it and they don't even realize that what you're saying is not, it shouldn't be imbibed. So they just take it, oh, is this person that said it? And that's why we have a lot of people who are having all manner of issues because of who they listen to. So ladies, these are amazing. You've made amazing contributions. And I hope somebody out there is listening and will be able to assess themselves and see, where am I? Do I need to make some changes? Do I need to move on from where I am right now? I hope this conversation will help somebody. All right, so finally, we've talked about the problems. Now let's talk about the
permission to add one more impact.
Okay.
Just dovetailing from what Tomisin said. It can lead to destructive behavior. That's a behavior that is physically aggressive. You become an abuser. It can lead to that. When the frustrations are high, there may be a tendency to start lashing out. And then God help you that maybe you have a spouse or children you now begin to mess because of that challenge. I said, let me mention how we can turn very quickly to physical manifestations.
That's true. It starts in the mind. Whatever we see physically often begins in the mind. And yes, if you keep thinking negative and those feelings of anger and resentment, at some point it will spill over and you will manifest it physically. And those around you, like Sharon said, it will mess with your relationships. Nobody will want to be around you because they're always afraid that you will explode any moment. So they don't know when it will happen, and so they tend to avoid you. And that deprives you of, the nurturing, that sense of comfort that comes from, hanging around people. All right. So now that we've talked about the problems, let's talk about what are the solutions. How can that woman who is stuck, how can that woman who now realizes that she has a victim mentality, how can she move on? How can she move forward from there? Tomisin, let me start from you. Just one thing that she can do, one step, practical step she can take to move forward.
Okay, one practical step would be self-acceptance. As a woman with a disability, you need to accept yourself, be at peace with your situation. Know that disability is not a curse. Disability is not a foundation to ill luck or to negativity. So when you are comfortable in your own body, in your own mind, in your own spirit, it's easy for you to, be a victor. And I'll give you an instance very quickly. When I first got blind, at the initial stages of my blindness, I used to lash out a lot. In fact, if I come in the house and maybe somebody mistakenly spills water and the person is nonchalant about it, you will see the way you would think the person has stolen something from me. So usually, whatever the crime or whatever the attitude or whatever the barrier is usually little compared to my reaction. I cry a lot. If you do anything to me, even when you're not thinking of my disability, I ascribe it to the fact that, it's not your fault, though, it's because I am blind. If I don't get help, I don't get what I need at a particular time. But at some point, blindness became like a normal thing to me. It became something I am not afraid of anymore. It became something that I am comfortable, telling people, introducing myself, having to, smile about it, having to look at the positive. And so I made peace and accepted myself at that particular point in time. And it was easy for me to come face to face with challenges these days. And sometimes I just smile, sometimes I just go to bed, sometimes I play music, sometimes in the middle of chaos, you see me, I'm thinking of what's the solution, how do we go about it? And so that is one very major step that I think every woman with disability should take. Thank you.
I like how you mentioned about thinking about solutions, and thank you for being vulnerable about your own journey. It's easy to, you can, when it comes to disability, people have they can be two extremes. You can either, acknowledge that, look, this has happened, there's something wrong, I need to deal with it. Or you can live in denial and hey, I'm okay, everything is fine, there's nothing wrong. But I'm glad that you're able to point out and acknowledge, and then you moved from being helpless, that sense of helplessness and fueled with anger, to somebody who was solution-driven, now began to think of how do we deal with the situation, no matter what it is. So I think that's the key step that someone can take. Preki, steps to overcome. Welcome back. Now we see your face.
Hey. Okay. So just for Ejiro and Tomisin, I look amazing. Just putting it out there.
Oh my God. Come on.
Okay, so what can we do to move from being a victim to being a victor? The first thing is, don't beat yourself about what your mind posture has been so far. If in all the things we have been describing, you have identified that indeed, I have been carrying around the victim mentality, that's step one. At least you have acknowledged the fact that this is what it is for you. This is where your mind is at. Second thing you're going to do is that you're going to forgive yourself for what it would seem that you have probably taken too much time to realize that something happened to you and it wasn't your fault. Now, even if it was your fault that you acquired a disability, forgive yourself, accept it, and understand that because you are alive, there is hope, and that you have a reason to be here on earth. And the next thing is, take it easy on yourself. We're not saying you should surmount Mount Everest right now. Take it one day, one step, and one goal at a time. You can begin to look out for opportunities. Start with the disability community. Don't resent women with disabilities who may seem to have it together. We actually don't. You can reach out, ask questions, interact, attend programs, start small.
Okay, so Ejiro, over to you. Just one thing, one practical step that a woman with disability can take.
Okay, so is it okay to give two? So
all right,
I think one is finding your meaning. So in every situation that we are in, if you find the meaning, why is this happening and how can I use this in a positive way? That helps you to change your perspective on how you see things. As a woman with disability, yes, I have a disability. What's the meaning? What can I do with this situation? Finding the positive meaning in that situation, and that will help you. And the second thing is getting knowledge. As much as you know. So women with disability must strive to know more, to learn more, attend trainings, go for seminars, network with people, expand your mind, and in expanding your mind, you're able to deal with those limiting things that comes up, and that's where that self-acceptance that Tommy was talking about comes in. That's where forgiveness comes in. And that's where harnessing all of the potentials that we've also talked about comes in. So find your meaning and gain knowledge. Thank you.
Amazing stuff. Find your meaning and gain knowledge. Know why, because when you know why, then the next question will be how. Once you know the why, you will now say, okay, now how? So first, that's why is this way? What can we do about it? Because there is no situation. I always say there is no situation that doesn't have a solution. You just haven't found it yet. So rather than feel sorry and feel like, oh, nothing is happening, sit down, ask yourself questions. By the time you would have asked yourself, 3, 4, 5 questions, somehow something will come up. And you'll be able to, find the next step that you can take. So I will say, above all of this, practice gratitude. Be grateful for what you do have. I know sometimes it's hard to see what's good about disability, what's good about not being able to go where I want, what's good about not being able to see, what's good about not being able to hear. In spite of all of that, there's something you can be grateful for. Number one, you're still here. There are people who did not have a disability, but they are no longer here. You're still here. That means there's still something you can do. You still have a purpose. Secondly, if you look around, you have people around you. You're not entirely alone. Maybe you have isolated yourself from them, but you're not alone. all it will take is to reach out and say, oh, hello, help me. And you will be surprised that, people will be more than willing to reach out and hold your hands. So no matter how far you have been in that situation, no matter how long you have held on to that mentality, you can still do a turnaround. You can turn around. It's not too late. It's only when you refuse to acknowledge it, that's when it persists. But if you make up your mind and say, okay, I'm tired of being here. How do I get from here to there? Rather than envy others or feel bad or resentful, ask yourself, what did they do? How did they do it? And then find how you can move forward. By the time you move from envy to, actually considering how you reach out to people, somebody can decide, okay, I'm going to teach you. This is how I did it. Like Sharon said, get knowledge. When you get the right knowledge, it can do wonders for you. It changes your perspective. Knowledge is power, as they say. So I hope that now that we've come to the end of this episode, I hope that a woman out there, even if it's one person, will be able to say that today, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to change direction. I'm going to change the path I've been on. And I'm going to do what needs to be done to get me to move from being a victim to being a victor. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. You've done amazing. This has been a very robust discussion. I can see your brains are hot. The brains are hot. I can see some smoke coming out. See people have hot brains. And you have been sharing amazing ideas. And I hope somebody will tap into the heat and also be able to do something with what we've learned today. So ladies, let's unmute our mics and just say goodbye. And to my online audience, thank you for being there. I hope that we see you next week Saturday when we come your way again, 10:30 a.m.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You are a winner. You're a victor.
Yes. You can do it.
This is Bold TV.